My name is David Johnson. I'm 43 years old. I never imagined I'd be the one lying on the hospital floor, bleeding out in the same ER I worked in for over a decade. I never imagined I'd die, but I did. I crossed over, and what I saw was something I never expected. I met Jesus, and he showed me something about Black people, about our pain, our power, and what's really happening behind the scenes. And it completely shocked me. It wasn't just a dream. It wasn't some peaceful vision. It was a revelation, raw and real. I'm still trying to understand it all. But one thing I know, it needs to be shared. On November 12th, I died at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta. It was a Sunday night shift. Calm at first. We had a few twisted ankles, one asthma attack, and a woman with chest pains. But nothing like the madness that usually hits. I remember thinking, maybe I'll get home before sunrise for once. That thought passed through my head as I took another sip of cold coffee from my chipped Spider-Man mug, the one Amara gave me when she was 8. She drew a tiny heart on the bottom with a red Sharpie. It's still there. Amara. She's 15 now, bright, sensitive, artsy. She used to talk my ear off about space and music and colors. Lately, she barely speaks to me. Our phone calls last maybe 5 minutes, awkward silences and half-hearted I love yous. She lives with her mom now, my ex-wife. We divorced 2 years ago. It wasn't dramatic. Just cold, quiet, like two strangers in the same house. I buried myself in work, back-to-back shifts, trauma cases, surgeries. I told myself I was doing it to help people, to provide. But really, I was hiding. Maybe you know what it's like to lose yourself in being busy, to chase the noise so you don't have to hear your own thoughts. That was me. Always running. Always tired. I used to believe in God. My mama made sure of that. She brought me to church every Sunday, taught me how to pray, how to stand tall, how to respect myself as a Black man in a world that doesn't always see us. But somewhere along the way, I lost it. First came the doubts, then the silence, then the pride. I saw too much death, too much pain. I held too many dying hands, watched too many mothers scream over their sons. Young Black boys with holes in their chests, fathers with heart attacks at 38, daughters with bullet wounds from domestic fights. I kept thinking, if God's real, why all this? Why us? So I hardened. I stopped praying. I laughed off faith. I called it a fairy tale for people who couldn't face reality. But truth be told, I was angry. Not just at God, at myself. I was tired of feeling like I wasn't enough. Not Black enough, not kind enough, not present enough. I'd show up in the ER like a soldier, but come home and feel like a ghost. There was this one night I'll never forget. A boy came in, 17, gunshot to the abdomen. His mother clutched my arm while we tried to save him. He didn't make it. Afterward, I went to the break room, sat on the floor, and cried quietly into my palms. No one saw. I made sure of that. ER doctors aren't supposed to cry, especially not Black men. But behind all the titles, doctor, hero, man of the community, I was just tired, empty. I stopped going to family events. I ignored my cousin's calls. I skipped Amara's art show last spring. She painted this beautiful canvas of a girl standing under a storm cloud, holding a broken umbrella, but still standing. Her mom sent me a photo. I stared at it for an hour, but I never called her to say I was proud. What kind of father does that? That night shift, the one where I died, I remember feeling especially hollow. I looked at my reflection in the medicine room mirror. Pale skin, wrinkled eyes, gray stubble. I didn't recognize myself. Then the pager went off. Code Gray in ER. Possible weapon on premises. I didn't panic. We get those from time to time, usually just a threat. But this one was different. A man had stormed in, angry, shouting about his brother not getting treated fast enough. Security was trying to calm him down, but he pulled a gun. Chaos broke out. People screamed. Nurses ducked. I saw Evelyn, one of our youngest nurses, frozen near the hallway. Without thinking, I ran. I pushed her behind the supply cart. Then, the sound. Gunshot. White-hot pain in my side. Another in my chest. I collapsed, my head hitting the tile floor. Everything slowed down. I remember blinking, trying to stay awake. Evelyn's face hovered above mine. She was crying, saying something, but I couldn't hear. It was like the world had turned to water, muffled, heavy. Then, silence. The kind of silence that feels alive. Not scary, just still. And in that stillness, something inside me broke open. Not my body, my soul. The hard shell I'd built over years. The pride, the numbness, the anger, it all cracked. I thought of Amara, of her painting, the broken umbrella. I wanted to tell her I was sorry, that I should have come, that I missed her every day. I wanted to tell her she was the best thing I'd ever been part of. I thought of my mama, her church hat, her humming Blessed Assurance while cooking catfish on Sundays. I wanted to believe again, but it felt too late. That's when it started. The light. It wasn't blinding. It was soft, gentle, like a memory I'd forgotten but had always missed. And as my eyes began to close, I heard a voice. Not loud, not booming, but real. Come. One word, but it felt like home. That was the moment I let go. Not just of life, but of everything I'd been holding on to. And what came next, I can't explain in human words. But I'll try, because it changed everything. And it wasn't just for me. It was for us. All of us. Especially those who've been forgotten, dismissed, misunderstood. Especially Black people, our beauty, our pain, our purpose. I saw things I'm still trying to make sense of. But I know this. Jesus met me there, and he showed me something I can't keep to myself. Not anymore. Everything went quiet. Not the kind of quiet you get late at night in a hospital hallway. Not even the quiet that comes in the moments after tragedy. This was something else. It was like the world stopped. Like sound had been turned off and time just let go of me. I didn't feel the floor anymore. I didn't feel the pain in my chest. Just a floating weightlessness, like I'd slipped out of my skin. The lights above me, the flickering panels we always meant to replace, blurred and dimmed. Evelyn's face was still there, crying, calling my name, but her voice didn't reach me. Her mouth moved in slow motion, like a scene underwater. I wanted to tell her it was okay, but I couldn't move my lips. I couldn't move anything. Then something strange happened. I blinked, or at least it felt like blinking, and suddenly I was above the scene, looking down, at myself, lying on the floor, blood soaking through my scrub top, people rushing, a nurse doing compressions, another calling out times, Evelyn holding my hand. And there I was, just watching. It should have scared me, but it didn't. I wasn't afraid. I felt like I'd been here before somehow, Like some hidden part of me always knew this moment was coming. The pain was gone, the tightness in my chest, the exhaustion that had followed me like a shadow for years. All of it, gone. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Peace. Not the kind that comes from a vacation or a good night's sleep. No, this was deeper, richer. It was like being wrapped in warm light. I know how that sounds, but I don't know how else to explain it. I floated there, just watching people who had become my second family fight to bring me back. And I felt thankful, not panicked, not desperate, just a deep thankfulness for all of it. Then something shifted. The ceiling above me dissolved, like smoke blowing away, and beyond it, sky. But not like any sky I'd ever seen. It shimmered, like gold mixed with water. Colors that don't exist here. Movement that felt alive. I was rising. At first it felt slow, gentle. Then suddenly, I was pulled. Not by force, but by love. Like being called home. The world I knew faded behind me. The pain, the pressure, the long years of feeling numb. It all stayed below. And ahead, light. But not just light. Presence. It was like walking into the most sacred space you can imagine, only to realize that the space isn't a place. It's a person. And that person sees everything. Every wound, every secret, every failure, and still welcomes you. I don't know when I stopped floating and started being there, but suddenly I was standing on something like ground, but softer than clouds, solid and real, but somehow alive. And then he was there. Jesus. Not like the paintings, not like the stories. He didn't need to say a word. I knew it was him. Knew he had always known me. Knew he had seen every single moment of my life, even the ones I tried to hide from myself. I fell to my knees, not because I had to, but because everything in me broke. All the walls I'd built, the pride, the cynicism, the tired detachment, they couldn't stand in his presence. I started sobbing, deep, ugly sobs from the core of me, years of pain pouring out like floodwaters. I kept whispering, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," and he knelt. Yes, he knelt. The King of Heaven, the Savior, the one who holds the galaxies in his hands. He knelt down beside me. He didn't scold me. He didn't shake his head. He just pulled me into his arms, and I wept like a child. You know that moment when someone hugs you just right, not too hard, not too loose, just right, and it makes you want to fall apart and heal all at once. That's what it felt like, except multiplied by 1,000. In his arms, I felt everything I'd spent my life chasing: love, safety, purpose, belonging. And for the first time, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I wasn't trying to be strong. I wasn't hiding my guilt or my grief. I was just held, and it was enough. More than enough. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Time didn't exist there, not like here. Every second felt eternal, but nothing felt rushed. Then he pulled back, and I looked into his eyes. They weren't just kind. They were truth. I saw fire in them. Not the fire that burns to destroy, but the kind that burns away lies. In those eyes, I saw that he knew everything. He saw me skip Amara's art show. He saw the way I judged people to avoid my own pain. He saw how I wore my job like armor, so I wouldn't have to feel like a failure at home. And still, he loved me. He said, "You were never alone, David." His voice wasn't loud, but it shook the air around us. It felt like thunder wrapped in velvet. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came. I was just overwhelmed. He stood and reached out his hand. "Come," he said again. I took it, and when I did, it was like my spirit exploded with light. Not because of me, but because of him. Like he was saying, "This is who you really are, David." Not the worn-down man on that ER floor. Not the disappointment. Not the failure. You are mine. We began walking, and the world around us opened. It was like walking through memories, but also something more. I saw faces, black faces, thousands of them, young and old, men and women, children with bright eyes, grandmothers with wrinkled hands. Some were smiling, some were weeping, some were trapped behind shadows I couldn't name. I didn't understand it yet, but I could feel it. Jesus was leading me into something, a truth too big for this world. Something about who we are, who we've always been. Not just victims, not just survivors, but something more. I could feel my heart starting to stretch, to crack open wider than it ever had before. And though I didn't know what he would show me next, I knew this much. It wasn't just about me. It was about us. All of us. We kept walking, Jesus and I. There was no rush, no pressure, just his presence beside me, steady, calm, and more real than anything I'd ever felt on earth. I didn't know where we were going, but I didn't care. I just didn't want it to end. The ground beneath us shimmered like light and glass. Above us, the sky moved in waves of color I didn't have names for. All around, there was peace, but not the quiet kind. It was full, alive, like a song I could feel in my chest. I kept glancing at him, not because I was nervous, but because, how could you not? He didn't walk ahead of me. He walked with me, shoulder to shoulder, like a friend who knew me from childhood, like a father who never missed a single day of my life. At one point, I whispered, "Why me?" He turned toward me, and even before he spoke, I felt the answer forming in my chest. "Because I love you," he said. That stopped me in my tracks. 3 words, simple, but they hit something deep. It wasn't just something he was saying. It was who he was. Love itself. And when he said you, it wasn't just my name. It was everything I was. The boy, the man, the doctor, the doubter, the father who got it wrong. All of me. I messed up, I said quietly. So many times. Jesus looked at me, not with disappointment, not with a list of my sins. He looked at me like someone who had seen the worst of me and still chose to stay. "You were tired," he said, "wounded, but I never left you." My throat tightened. "I pushed you away," I whispered. "I acted like you didn't matter." "You mattered to me," he said. "Even when you stopped believing in me, I never stopped believing in you." That broke me. I turned away, wiping my face with shaking hands. But there was no shame here. Just release. We kept walking, and then we stopped. We were standing on the edge of what looked like a great open space. And in that space, I saw them again. The faces, black faces, thousands of them, boys and girls, grandfathers and teenagers, some laughing, some crying, some with eyes full of fire, some with eyes full of fear. It was like watching a film of our people across time, from chains and cotton fields to protest lines and college classrooms, from barbershops and beauty salons to prisons and hospitals, from church pews to street corners. "What is this?" I asked. Jesus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "This is the war you couldn't see. He lifted his hand. The space shifted, and suddenly I saw shadows. Not people, not creatures, but forces, moving through generations like smoke, twisting, whispering. I saw the whispers that said, "You're not enough. You're broken. You don't belong." I saw lies planted like seeds, in schools, in homes, in hearts. I saw pride built as armor over pain. I saw anger growing from rejection. I saw brilliance dimmed by hopelessness. And I saw deep, hidden grief, the kind you carry in your bones when the world keeps telling you to be strong and silent. My knees buckled. "Lord, what is this?" "The enemy has tried to erase my image from them," Jesus said, "to bury their glory under generations of pain." I looked up at him, stunned. "Their glory?" He nodded. "Yes, the glory I placed in them. The strength, the creativity, the tenderness, the rhythm, the fire. It's not accidental. It's part of my design." Tears filled my eyes. All my life, I'd felt the tension between pride and shame, power and exhaustion. The quiet ache of wanting to be seen fully, not just for what I did, but for who I was. And now I knew I wasn't imagining it. "There is a war over identity," he said, "and many of my children are walking blind in it." I couldn't speak. My heart felt like it was tearing open and being healed all at once. Jesus placed his hand over my chest. "You carry some of that pain too," he said gently. I nodded, eyes burning. "David, you felt like you didn't belong. Like you had to earn love. Like you had to carry your people's pain on your own." "Yeah," I whispered. "Yeah, I did." "You wore strength like a mask," he said, "but I saw the little boy inside, the one who just wanted to be held." And in that moment, I saw myself. At 8 years old, curled up in my bed after my dad left, pretending I didn't care, trying to be the man of the house. Jesus leaned closer. "You were never meant to carry it alone." I broke. Again. I sobbed into his shoulder. No words, just release. Like something ancient inside me was finally being touched. When I could finally breathe again, he spoke softly. "There is a call on your life, David. A purpose that didn't die with your body." I looked at him, startled. "You want me to go back?" He smiled, eyes full of kindness. "Yes." I shook my head. "I don't want to leave. Not this. Not you." He cupped my face in his hands. "I know. I understand. But they need to hear. There are children walking in pain who need to know who they are. They need someone to carry this message, to show them my love, to remind them they're not forgotten." I thought of Amara, her eyes, her questions, her sadness she didn't know how to name. "Her too?" I asked. "Yes," he said, "especially her." I let the words settle. They filled me with fear and a strange kind of hope. "But I'm not a preacher," I said. "I'm not holy." He smiled again. "You're a father, a healer, a witness. That's enough." I looked out over the faces again, and suddenly I wanted to go. Not to escape death, but to carry life, to tell the truth, to say, "You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are not alone." Jesus stepped back, and everything around us started to shift. The light dimmed slightly. The air began to hum. "It's time," he said. I took a step back, my heart aching. "Will I see you again?" I asked. His voice was warm and steady. "I'm always with you." And just before the world pulled away, before I left the only place I'd ever felt fully known, He said one more thing. Tell them their story isn't over. I woke up to pain. Blinding, sharp, body-heavy pain. It hit me like a wave crashing on dry ground. I gasped. My chest jerked. Machines beeped. Voices shouted. Then darkness again. When I came to the second time, it was slower. I was in a hospital bed, tubes in my arms, oxygen in my nose, chest bandaged tight. I blinked at the white ceiling, trying to understand where I was, who I was. And then it hit me. I was back, not in heaven, not in that world of light and peace, but here, Earth. The weight of the world returned with my breath. The physical body, the limits, the noise, and grief came with it. Not for my life, but for leaving him, for leaving Jesus. Tears slid down my face as I lay there, too weak to speak. I missed him. I missed his eyes, his voice, his arms. But underneath the ache was something stronger. Purpose. He'd told me, go back, tell them. Their story isn't over. So I stayed. Recovery was slow. I had to learn to walk again, breathe again. I had collapsed lungs, a broken rib, nerve damage in my shoulder. But something deeper had changed. It wasn't just my body that needed healing. It was the way I saw everything. I used to wake up dreading the day. Now I woke up grateful. Every breath was a gift. Every hour was a chance. The hospital staff called it a miracle. They said I was gone for several minutes, flatlined, no heartbeat. But something made me come back. I wanted to tell them someone brought me back. Amara came to visit me a week after I woke up. I was sitting in a wheelchair by the window, watching the sky when she walked in. Long braids, earbuds in, sketch pad under her arm. She looked unsure, almost scared. Hey, she said, soft and cautious. I looked at her, really looked at her, and my heart broke and healed at the same time. She was taller now, her face more grown, but those eyes, still hers, still my baby girl. Hey, I said, voice raspy. Come here. She stepped closer, slow, like maybe I'd push her away. But I didn't. I reached out with my good arm and pulled her in. She froze, then melted into my chest. We both cried. No words, just years of missed birthdays and quiet hurt pouring out between us. When she pulled back, I said, I'm sorry. For what? For not showing up. For not being there when you needed me. For acting like my job mattered more than you. She wiped her eyes. It's okay. No, I said, holding her hand. It's not. But I'm going to make it right, if you'll let me. She nodded. I'd like that. Since coming back, I've made changes. Big ones, small ones. The first? I quit working overtime. That sounds simple. But for me, it was huge. I had built my life around achievement, around being needed, around doing. But now, I live to be present. I cook with Amara on Tuesdays, even if it's just mac and cheese. We light a candle, sit down at the table, and talk. I listen now. Not just nod along, really listen. I started calling my mama every Sunday again. I showed up to my cousin Terrence's poetry slam. First time I've seen him smile at me in years. I visit the older patients in my hospital who don't get many visitors. I hold their hands. I pray with them when they ask, and sometimes when they don't. Before, I avoided the black community outside my ER. I felt like I didn't belong, like I wasn't black enough, or didn't have time. Now, I see differently. I see the beauty in the barbershop laughter, in the teenage boys with big dreams and bigger walls. I see God's fingerprint in the single moms, the grandmothers raising grandbabies, the tired uncles doing their best. I see them because Jesus showed me what we carry. He showed me the war over our identity, the way the world tries to tell us we're only valuable if we're tough or rich or invisible. But we are more. We are loved. We are chosen. We are designed with glory that can't be stolen by history or statistics. People ask me sometimes, "Did you really die?" I smile. "Yeah, I died. But you came back?" "Yes, but not the same." I still get angry sometimes. Still feel the pull of old habits. Still get tempted to disappear into work. But now I live with eternity in mind. I wake up and ask, who needs love today? Who needs to be seen? Because the truth is, everyone's carrying something. Some are drowning in silence. Others are shouting through anger. But underneath it all, people are just longing to be known, to be safe, to be loved, just like I was. And Jesus? He sees every one of them, every doubt, every scar, every hidden tear. And He's not looking for perfect people. He's looking for willing hearts. He's looking for people who've been broken and are ready to be made whole. Maybe you're reading this and you feel like you've drifted. Maybe you're tired, angry, numb. Maybe you've been told you're too far gone, too complicated, too damaged. I'm here to tell you, that's a lie. Jesus sees you. He's been walking beside you this whole time. And He's not angry with you. He's not disappointed. He's waiting, with arms wide open. I died. I met Him. And He showed me something I'll never forget. He showed me that we, especially black people, carry a light the enemy has tried to dim for generations. But that light, it came from Him. And it's not going out. Not if I have anything to say about it. Because now, I'm living proof that love is real. That purpose can rise from pain. And that even the most hardened hearts can come back to life. Their story isn't over, and neither is mine.